What a difference a year makes. Almost assuredly, the entire country thought that Pierre Poilievre was well on his way to be Canada's next prime minister. Well, fast forward 1 year's time, and the Liberals make the biggest political comeback this country has seen in a long time. Hello, everyone. I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Brian Lilley and Lorrie Goldstein. When we reflect on 2025, Lorrie, in terms of the political comeback of the century, we saw it happen in the United States with Donald Trump in 2024 with his reelection, but in Canada, it had to have been with the resignation of Justin Trudeau and the election and subsequent electoral victory of Mark Carney. And so the Liberals get the big moniker as the best political comeback in Canada's history in 2025.
Yep, and I didn't see it coming even as it started. To me, I looked at it and I went, okay, Carney, he's not a politician. He's going to get ground up in a election, as opposed to Poilievre, whose life has been politics. And I thought that was so. And so I thought at the beginning that no, Carney's been talking about this for years. He's finally come. He's their last chance. He's going to get blown away. Then, his first thing where he announced his candidacy on Jon Stewart in the United States, right? And when I watched it, I went, I don't know how good this is going to be in Canada, but he seems like, and Stewart was just handing him softballs, right? But he seems like an interesting kind of guy. The part I laughed about in retrospect is his insistence to this day that he's not a politician. He's a total politician. And he's picked up on it very quickly. He's picked up on the idea that it doesn't really matter what you say in an election, right? It's what you do going forward after the election. Look at his stand on climate change when this guy was the leading corporate shill for carbon taxes when he was he had these international business associations to get to net zero, and the only thing wrong with the carbon tax was it was too low. And then he makes the course correct in the election. Oh, carbon tax? No, we're getting rid of that. We'll have other taxes, but we're getting rid of that. And since then, the memorandum of understanding with Alberta, something that would never have happened under whatever you think is going to happen with that deal, never happened under Justin Trudeau. Measures to somehow to accommodate Alberta in terms of the costs and lowering emissions and all that never would have happened under Trudeau. And to me, well, that's good, right? That's a good thing. So yeah, it's the story of this year.
Yeah,
it's going to continue to be the biggest story next year when we go back into when we then deal with trade on steroids. This old line about anything can happen in a week in politics. Well, maybe not a week, but in 3 or 4 weeks, yeah.
Brian, we covered Liberal cabinet ministers resigning, Liberal cabinet ministers, really upending budget days. Chrystia Freeland, for example. We covered all of the Liberal MPs who were retiring and resigning and not
And then
coming
came
back,
back.
and then for their family, and then suddenly they see their electoral fortunes on the rise. But the Liberals were on track under Justin Trudeau to likely even lose potentially party status
Yeah.
in the federal election. But here we are. We are one seat away from a Carney majority government. So the biggest comeback in political history in this country.
So I remember when Trudeau resigned, and I had said time and again that it wouldn't happen. I had to buy Warren Kinsella lunch at the Patrician Grill because he had a bet with me that Trudeau would resign. I had said, no, he wants to stay and fight Pierre Poilievre. But I remember doing a video with the two of you at the time, and you asked, what does this mean? And I said, it changes everything. The Liberals can win now. And you guys thought I was crazy. I agree with Lorrie. I did not expect Mark Carney to adapt as well as he did to politics. I'd covered him as Bank of Canada governor, very stiff guy. He's done incredibly well at turning things around. Now, he had a big assist from Donald Trump, but he also worked hard to be able to do this and convince Canadians to vote for him. That's no small feat. But it goes back to the line that I'm sure you and everyone were fed up hearing from me. And I'll say it now as a warning to liberals who are awfully smug going into 2026. Oh, we're going to do great. We're going to accomplish all these things. Voters love us. Well, let me remind you, voters are fickle. Polls can change. Campaigns matter. A year ago, none of us thought that Justin Trudeau was leaving and would be dating Katy Perry, and we'd have an old banker as our prime minister. Uh, Things definitely changed. We all thought Pierre Poilievre was going to be it. So don't be so sure of yourself, whichever party you're in, of what's going on. Events, dear boy, events. This year proved it. And Carney was the biggest political comeback in Canadian history in quite some time.
All right, Lorrie, let's look forward to 2026. As I just said, we are on the precipice of a majority government that Canada did not elect. It's coming through potentially just floor crossings. But 2026 for the Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre is going to go through a leadership review in January. Hard to say what the expectation is. I'd be very hard pressed to say he will do nothing but succeed. But what is 2026 looking like for the Conservatives?
Well, they've got a lot of stuff to resolve. Number one, who's their leader? If in this January convention, and what we're hearing is that no, he's got that locked up. It doesn't matter. The base loves him. All those things. If the Conservatives, sorry, if the Liberals by then have a majority government, does that put a dent in him? I don't know. The Conservatives have to consider, to me, who's your best chance? Who's your best chance for the next election? Which even if the majority government could come sometime next year. It all depends on what. So for them, they've got to worry about that. I do think, though, that panicking is not going to solve anything for them. And that you have to play the long game, even when the short game is taking up all the oxygen. This will be another year. It's going to be a rough economic year for Canadians. The governments generally take the hit for that. For example, if Carney has a majority, do Canadians then go, okay, you finally got your majority, let's get it done, right? What we've seen from Carney is that he's really not he's not making deals with the other parties in opposition. The NDP tried to make a deal with him on the budget. No way. He felt that he had, and I think he was right, that he had the momentum no matter what. So for the Conservatives, I think it's time for a little soul searching, including by the leader. But it's to be thoughtful, not to get caught up in this thing of, oh, two of us have gone, I want to go to yada, yada, yada. It's to, and to focus on, and I know they're having trouble getting it through, but I would focus on the things that Canadians care about.
Brian, I'm gonna put this to you in a different context.
Okay.
It is likely that the province of Quebec is going to elect a separatist Parti Québécois in the next provincial election, which is in 2026. We're all talking about national unity. We're all talking about bringing down interprovincial trade barriers. What is that under a Carney government, majority or minority, and a separatist provincial election government gets elected in Quebec? What does that say about the country?
Well, look, I think the biggest threat to national unity right now is what's happening in Alberta and Saskatchewan. It's not Quebec, but in central Canada, we're going to focus all of our attention on Quebec, praise Quebec, show love to Quebec. Please don't leave me. Oh, we'll make it better this time. And we're ignoring Alberta. We're ignoring Saskatchewan. Not completely. I will give Carney credit on that MOU. And again, Premier Smith says it's a good deal. But I think that national unity is really at play, especially if the election result is overturned, that people out west will start to say, okay, you guys out in Eastern Canada, in Central Canada, you're messing with us again. It's time for us to leave. If that sentiment keeps growing, we're in big trouble. So Carney's got two main things to deal with in this coming year. One is national unity. Two is Washington. Those are the two most important jobs of any prime minister ever and always. But remember, CUSMA renegotiation is going to happen against the backdrop of midterms when free trade I don't think it's going to be popular with either party right now. So that's the scenario that he's up against: a fractured national unity setup in Canada, and trying to renegotiate a trade deal with an American president who's hell bent on bringing in tariffs, and a Congress that they're not going to be standing up for Canada as they're going into the midterms.
All right, Lorrie. And of course, the party that propped up the Liberals for far too many years under Jagmeet Singh and the NDP, they will have a new leader come 2026. They are pretty much irrelevant. They were decimated in the last federal election, but there's still a handful of them kicking around. What does 2026 look like for the NDP?
That's an existential year for the NDP, I would think. If it continues the way it's been, um, they have a real problem because what Carney has done, of course, is he doesn't need the center left anymore. He's moved to the center right, as we've all known. He's a conservative leading prime minister. Other than the debt, but other than that, his ideas are very, even in areas like legal reform, if it actually happens. So for the NDP, when the Liberals are strong, of course, the NDP are weak. And ironically, who does that damage? It damages the Conservatives, because normally Conservatives want the NDP to bleed into Liberal support. But to me, one example we would use is Ontario. Look how long it took them to come back from being the government they just in the last election finally got the bare minimum of seats they needed for, like, parties can disappear for long times now. And the NDP has a smaller base than the other parties. So I think for the NDP, it's kind of a dangerous year. They say, we're going to be relevant. If there's a majority, they're going to be totally irrelevant. So we'll just have to wait and see. But even if they continue, like, if they prop up a minority Liberal government again, voters are going to go, we saw this dance. We didn't like it. That's why you have 7 seats instead of 24. It's going to be a tough year for them.
Well, Brian, the thing that we used to say is that the Liberals had a non-hostile takeover of the NDP under Trudeau. They were quite successful, but 2026, they will have a new leader. We've seen a couple of names emerge. Some of the things they say are kooky, to say the least. But what is 2026 looking like for the NDP?
They're going back to the mid 90s when people like Audrey McLaughlin were the leader. The NDP will continue to be less and less relevant. Someone like Avi Lewis, who is considered one of the front runners, he's out with a recent video talking about Mark Carney funding the war machine. We need to stop spending on defense and give everyone a heat pump. It's like, you're joking. This is your big idea. We are members of NATO, which the NDP has always opposed. So they want to bring down defense spending and give everyone heat pumps. They want to go for radical ideas. To win, you have to find the median voter and go as close to the median voter as you can while still appealing to your base. The NDP is not doing that. So if any of the ones that are running, they've said this Eve Engler guy can't run, probably a smart move. But Avi Lewis, Heather McPherson, the farmer guy, like I don't see any of them being able to rally voters back to them the way that Jack Layton and Tom Mulcair did. And while Tom Mulcair gave the NDP their second best result ever, and they got rid of him because I think they like losing rather than being successful. And that's why they kept Jagmeet Singh for a couple of elections and Tom Mulcair for one.
Well, 2025 in the political landscape in this country was anything but dull. So will 2026 deliver the same? We will find out. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go to thetorontosun.com. You'll find commentary and coverage there you will not find anywhere else.